Okay, let's see if we can straighten you out today. A few weeks ago, if you remember, I gave you a little Bible 101 about how the Hebrew people marked time. Time began at 6 a.m. That was the beginning of the day. So the third hour of the day would be what time? 9 a.m. And on and on. What would then be then the 11th hour of the day? 5 p.m. Are you with me? Because it makes more sense than when he went out and hired in the third hour and the fifth hour and so forth. Okay. Number 2. It was their harvest time, like our own. And so grapes, a staple of that economy. You probably heard on NBC that the rains are coming, which is normally true at the end of September for them, was the rainy season. If you don't get those grapes out, then you will lose your crops. And so the landowner wanted to do all he could, so he went out and hired a bunch of people. Bible 101 again, a denarius was 1 day's wages, normally. It barely bought enough food for a starving family. And so, of course, he hired these people. Can you come and work for me in my vineyard? I've got all these things that need to be done. I'll give you 1 denarius if you'll come and work for me today. And they were happy to. For you see, it still goes on today, by the way. There were what I would call a labor exchange. You would go and bring your tool belt and whatever you did for a living, and you would come and stand there hoping that someone would come and hire you for the day, and give you a day's wages. Barely enough to buy food. If you were not hired that day, you would go home, of course, empty-handed, and your family would go hungry for that day. So it depended upon you. I can see why people waited at least until the 11th hour, hoping beyond all hope that someone would come along and give me a chance to do my work, to earn 1 denarius, just so I could feed my family tonight. I can understand that. Hurting, starving. I know at least in the Orlando area, my folks lived there, and there were a couple places in downtown Orlando where there were day labor exchanges. A number of years ago, when I moved to this town, the gentleman came with this big truck with all my furniture on it, and he said I had to drive over into Toledo, and I think he called it the day labor exchange. And there was a fellow over there. And he said, I hired him. I do not know what he paid him. Maybe he paid him cash. But I probably had no money, unless whatever he earned that day standing on the corner. The guy drove him back over at the end of the day. He worked all day. He worked hard. Here's this big, strapping white guy drove the van, the truck, and helped unload 1 little lamp at a time. Here's a short, little, skinny black kid, man, lifting things, throwing his couch up on his back and bringing that thing in. And that young man earned his wages that day. I do not know what he got paid. But had he not had that, he would not have had money for that day. I hope he paid him well. But the landowner said, I will hire you for 1 denarius, which was normally what you got paid. Then he went back out at the 3rd hour and the 5th hour and so forth and hired more laborers because he needed them. He had no contract with them. You come on in. Did you notice in Lynn's reading, it never did say, I'll give you this amount of money. You come on in, and what did you say? I will take care of you. I will pay you a fair wage. The 11 o'clock, he didn't, at the 11th hour, 5 p.m., he never said a word. Why are you still here? Because no one has hired me, he said. Then you go right on in. He didn't say how much, he was just eager, even to work 1 hour. And whatever he could get, at least for 1 hour, he could buy something. A dried up potato that he could divide, 20 different ways over how many people were in their family. He was just grateful to be hired, to be included. Now, the rub comes. It probably doesn't make financial sense. It's probably unjust and unfair to the workers who went, they thought. And when they were hired, he said, let's start with the last, going to the first. And each was given a denarius. Can you imagine the feelings and thoughts they had. I can't believe, at the beginning, I didn't think I was going to get anything. I was hired at the end of the day, and how generous he was. Don't you think he could go home and tell his wife and children, I worked today only for 1 hour, and look what we've got. This man is so generous and so full of grace. Let us say a prayer right now for him. He understands our needs and employed us. And of course, those who were hired first came to be paid. And of course, their hearts were leaping. If he gave these poor, down-to-earth people you wouldn't even hire off the street and gave them a denarius, of course, that he'll give us a lot. And when they looked at their paycheck, 1 denarius, they began to grumble. How could this be? This doesn't make much sense. I have put in an all day's work. And of course, the landowner said, did I not say to you, I will give you that? Don't I have a right to give as I wish to give? You were not harmed or hurt in any way. I employed you for the day. I included you. And they left and went home, grumbling. Now, you see the mealtime around that table? I'm mad. I deserve more. I'm better than that other guy that I was working side by side with. I'm better more. How come he included him? And then we begin to grumble even more about him. He's no good. I knew him from childhood, and he was a bum then, and he has a bad marriage, and his kid's no good. Can you hear it? Grumbling about each other because I got what they got. So I think, for me, the parable is about God, how generous God is, and how sometimes we can get mad at God because God has been too generous, way too generous, with these people who don't even deserve it. So that was the point of the parable. How did the parable begin? Jesus told them the parable of how it was to be in the kingdom of God. That God is loving and generous and would include all people. It doesn't matter how long you've been a member of the church, it's whether or not you've given your life to God. Why are we working in the church? Didn't Jesus say, didn't Paul say later, we don't earn grace and God's love by the work that we do. There's no way we'd ever earn it. It's by God's grace. It's what God wants to give freely to us. We are amazed. Some of us are grumbling because we deserve more than the other. We are equal. Jesus tried to say it over and over again. We have equal needs.